You know, thinking out loud probably isn't the right term for what I'm about to do, and thinking out loud probably isn't something one should do on broadcast radio. So I won't call it thinking out loud, but I will say I've been thinking a lot lately, as I know others have, about the new report from our latest Nobel Prize winner in economics, Angus Deaton, and his partner and collaborator and wife, Ann Case, on the stunning rise in death rates as well as pain levels for less educated middle class white people. Now, this isn't a case where white lives matter more, so it's getting attention. In fact, if anything, this report isn't quite getting the attention it ought to, and it isn't the case as with so many African American communities in this country where people's lives are in danger because they are targeted by institutionalized racism in one form or another. It's a very different situation, and it's one that's been happening under the radar for a long time. But less educated white people, and people are, it's tempting to stereotype them as Tea Party members or whatever. The fact is, we don't know all the demographics, but less educated white people, their death rate has been soaring, especially in the age group 45 to 54 years old, with a high school education or less. Now, the death rate, just for perspective, fell in other age and ethnic groups. Of course, in some ethnic groups, it may be higher to begin with. But as many people have pointed out, this is a silent epidemic unlike HIV, not unlike HIV. For example, AIDS killed roughly 650,000 people from the mid-1980s up till now, and yet, while it's not at that level, it's close. An estimated 500,000 people died who might otherwise have lived if the mortality rates of this group had been in line with the rest of the population. There's a good look at it by Eve Smith in Naked Capitalism, among others. And, two Dartmouth economists wrote about this, that it is difficult to find modern settings with survival losses of this magnitude. In other words, it's a huge and stunning reversal for this group with enormous human cost. As we see in other countries, middle-aged white people, their death rates are plunging. They've plunged from 1990 to 2010. In the United States, much, much higher. And when we look at the causes of those deaths, we see that what's gone up the most is a category called poisonings, which went from almost nowhere in 2000 to the leading cause of death in 2015. Now, poisonings includes death by alcoholism, and it includes overdoses. Now, the second leading cause of death is lung cancer, which I suppose is another form of poisoning, although that's been dropping somewhat. The third is suicide, which is right up there. Those three are clustered at the top, and then a little further down, chronic liver disease, which can also have a lifestyle implication. So, the story here is that an entire cohort of Americans who have also seen their life prospects basically shattered over the last 10 or 15 years are also dying at extraordinary amounts from diseases of the body that at some level could be considered diseases of the spirit. That is something we really need to be thinking about as a country, and we need to be thinking about as an economy. We need to be thinking about the future for everyone in this country, a safe life for everyone, whether you are a teenager in the ghetto or a poor white person in the country. There should be a place to live and prosper. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.